Hello friends and welcome, it's wonderful to have you here. I'm Morjax. Today we are finishing up with the skills and spells which released in Phase 4 or Update 3 of Mordheim City of the Damned Early Access. Usually I start on the Warband page, but I just want to take just a moment and I gotta just show off the name of my Skaven Warband here. It rolled up randomly, but it's the Murderous Murderers of the Murder Lord. So that's just entertaining to me. So anyway, I'll get on with it. I'll see you in just a moment. Alrighty, here we are in our inventory here, and I've gone straight to my Eshin Sorcerer, and we're going to look at the spells first off. So, Musk of Courage. The caster and or allies in an area of 5 meters around the caster, so it's your friends. Target becomes immune to all alone tests. The mastery gives also immunity to fear. Cheech's Curse radius is, the Cheech's Curse risk is reduced to 10%, and the casting penalty is also reduced. So that's okay, but whatever. Next one is Wither. Reduce strength, agility, and toughness of the victim by 2. The duration says 0 turns, so I don't know what that means. Maybe it's permanent. And it is stackable. So the mastery is a stat reduction to by 4 of, again, strength, agility, and toughness. Increases the range to 30 meters, and the fizzle cost reduces. So that actually seems pretty good. If you can knock out a few points, like, you know, if you look here at the strength, toughness, and agility, the maximum you can have is a lot of times in the, 10 to 15 range. So to be able to remove or reduce it by 4, I don't know how long it lasts, but reducing it by 4 seems pretty dang good. That's a sizable chunk of their stats. Especially if you can get a mastery on this pretty soon, you're going to remove or reduce them from, I don't know, say 6 down to 2. So that seems pretty good, actually, to me. Next one here is Blessed with Filth. The weapon of the target becomes filthy and adds poison effect to on every damaged victims that deals 8 to 16 damage. So it just poisons a weapon, basically. The poison is stackable, but the blessing is not. So that was worded a little weird. Some of these descriptions are, the wording isn't quite there. Alright, next is Sorceress Curse. This reduces armor absorption by up to 5. Reduces dodge and parry chances by 15%. So I'm assuming that they've updated this. There's no more armor absorption straight values. This says by up to 5. It's all percents now. So I don't know if that's 5% or I'm not sure what. But there's the armor absorption is definitely in percentages now and not in absolute numbers. Alright, Gaze of the Horned Rat. This is every enemy in a 5-meter radius, and the effect is reduce the current and maximum offense points of the victim by 2, and it is not stackable. The mastery is by 4, so that also seems pretty dang good. You're talking, you pay 4 to reduce everyone around you by 4, and the duration is 2 turns. So that's 1 or 2 less attacks from everyone within 5-meter radius. I like that pretty well. Next one here is Warp Lightning. This is everyone in a 10-meter long by 2-meter wide column. So it's a blunderbuss type effect. Deals between 8 and 13 damage, which bypasses armor and adds random beneficial or detrimental warp effects. Oh, that's kind of cool. So the effect of it, they have to roll like a warpstone exposure roll, that's interesting. But now we must move on. Passive spell, Warp Resonance. I don't think we've seen that before. Warp Resonance this is a passive skill. After gathering a wordstone, the spell damage of the skill user is increased by 10%, and it is stackable. That's pretty cool. So if you pick up Warpstone with your caster, they get a boost to their spells. So very cool. Let us first jump into the active skills, and then we'll finish off the passive skill tree and look at these last stats, and that'll be everything. So, Numbing Poison. This is a melee attack that deals normal damage. If damage is dealt, victim is poisoned and will see its maximum strategy points reduced by 2 if it fails a poison resistance test. Not stackable. That's okay. Warp Poison is a melee attack that deals normal damage and reduces offense points by 2 if they fail a poison resistance test again. and Black Hunger. This is the, I think they're called Warp Guard, but it's the Black Skaven from the tabletop. Remove 30 wounds from the skill user and gain a melee damage bonus of 20%, and make melee attacks 20% harder to dodge or parry for the victims. The duration is 1 turn. So the mastery is makes it a little more worth it. It's a damage bonus up to 40% and avoidance reduction also 40%. So this seems kind of like a wild gambit. Like you have to get that last hit in to take out their guy for whatever reason. You can burn some of your life and then swing in to do it this way. And also high level warbands, it's not going to hurt so bad to pay that 30 wounds up front. Alright, let's move on to the unique passive skills here. Poison Expert is reduce the chances of skill user victims to resist his poisons by 20%. Mastery is 40%. That actually would go pretty well with that one that we just read, with the where they have to roll a poison roll. So that's pretty neat. Art of Silent Death is an increased melee critical chance by 5% when using daggers or fighting claws. Mastery is 10%. So 10% crit boost is pretty good if you're using fighting claws anyway, or daggers. Pardon me. This is called Swarm. The effect is if another ally of the skill user is engaged with the same enemy, so if it's 2 or more on one, the skill user gains 5% crit chances and melee chances. Hold on. The skilled user gains 5% chances to hit in melee and 5% chances to deal critical hits in melee. That was worded kind of weird. Maybe that's just me. So you basically get a boost if you got a bunch of people with this swarm and you pile them all on one guy. They get a whole bunch of chance to hit and chance to crit, that seems pretty good. Kind of flavorful. Alright, so I'm going to go from the left to the right here. So we're going to start on the Alertness. We, of course, finished with the Intelligence last time. So Alertness, first skill up, is Sixth Sense. Increases the Perception by 10%, and Mastery is 20%. I haven't found a lot of use for Perception, personally, so far. Vigilance increases the melee resistance of the warrior by 10% against ambush attacks. That's okay, except I don't really feel like I get ambushed that much either. Okay, here we go. Awareness increases the melee resistance of the warrior by 5%. That's just straight up resistance. So to me, that seems pretty dang good. This is a strong skill in my mind. You get a constant 5 or 10% damage reduction. So, 2 thumbs up. 10 out of 10. Wood Morjax again. Concealment. Increase the range resistance of the warrior by 5%, and the mastery is 10%. So this is awareness, but for ranged, which is also okay, but I think you're in close combat more than you're in ranged. Okay. What is this? I just noticed it says 10 days left up in the top corner. Never saw that before. Anyway, gotta keep focused. Combat movement reduces the cost of flee by 1 strategy point, and mastery is the cost of disengage will also be reduced by 1. That's okay, I suppose. It depends on your playstyle. That's really a pretty specific one. Nimble increases your initiative by 4. Mastery increases by 8. So let me just see here. I'm going to click on agility. Oh, initiative. Here we go. So his initiative is 55. So to go up by 4 or 8 is kind of a drop in the bucket, but I guess it depends. It depends on what you're looking for. Okay, we are now on to the weapon skill tree, passive skill tree. First one up here is Flash Parry. Increases chances to parry by 5%. The warrior must still use a parrying stance, and the mastery is 15%. So that's pretty good. Along with that one we saw last episode, that was a, I think it was on the intelligence tree where you get a 5 or 15% to both parry or dodge, depending on what stance you take. And you can pair it with this one to get a 35 or I guess 30% bonus. So that could be quite good. Increases melee resistance. This is called Shield Specialist. Melee resistance up by 5%. Chances to parry up by 5% when fighting with the shield. And the mastery is 10%. So this again, you could fight with the shield and really start to crank up your parry chances here. Hit and run. After dealing melee damage, reduce the cost of disengage by 1 strategy point. Disengage must be the next action. Retaliation increases the hit chance by 5% when performing a counterattack. So that again could go nicely with your higher parry chances here. Anticipation. The effect is when the skill user suffers from melee damage, he gains a 3% melee resistance stackable. Pardon me. So that seems pretty good on someone who can take a lot of hits. You wouldn't want that on a spellcaster or one of your squishier heroes, ranged heroes. But that could be pretty good on your hero tank or your what is it called? Your impressive unit. There it is. Come on, Morjax, get those words. Next up is Swift Counter. After performing a counterattack, successful or not, the skill user has a 25% chance to recover 1 offense point. So if you get Swift Counter, Retaliation, Shield Specialist, Flash Parry, and let me just go back here. Knowledge Tactics is the mastery, gives you a extra 15% parry bonus. You could really start to synergize a lot of those things geared towards specifically parrying and then counterattacking. So I think that's pretty interesting. And it's a free attack, really. You don't have to spend... well, maybe you do. I don't know. Anyway, it's another opportunity to attack. It's like almost like having an extra unit on the field. Okay, here we are in the Ballistic passive skill tree. First skill is Eagle Eyes. Every ranged attack bypass 5% of the victim's armor absorption. So it's piercing, basically. Overhead, pardon me, this is a lot of talking. Overhead is ranged. Every ranged attack performed when the skill user is higher than the victim has an increased 5% chances to hit. And I do like to get up above whenever I can. I think that there's a... what was it? On the tabletop, you could only pick your targets if you were aiming at a large target or if you were elevated with respect to them. So I don't know if that's still true. I kind of don't think it is, but that's a little extra boost to be up in a building somewhere. Pardon me, gracious. Quick Reload is reduce the cost of reload action by 1 strategy point. Mastery is by 2. Trick Shooter says every ranged attack of the skill user ignores 5% of the victim's ranged resistance. So it's similar to Eagle Eye, but for range resistance rather than damage reduction. Bullseye increases the chance to hit with aim by 10%. And Mastery reduces the cost of aim by 1 SP as well. Sharpshooter says after dealing range damage, the warrior gains 3% chance to perform critical hits on ranged attacks, stackable. And the Mastery is a 6% chance, and it's stackable. This seems like it would be really good on someone if you figure out a way where you can attack twice in 1 turn. So you've got your, like a bow would be better suited for this. So you could shoot multiple times, and every time you deal damage on ranged, you get a 6% crit boost every single time. So pretty soon after maybe 2nd or 3rd round, if you're shooting twice every round, you know, by the time you get to, let me do some mental math here, So 3 rounds, 2 attacks per round, is 6 attacks, and let's say you just happen to hit with all of them, you've got a 36% extra chance to crit. So that seems really good if you're a fast shooting son of a gun. So I would recommend that for just looking at these, and I'm still taking it in, but I'd recommend this for a fast shooter in your party. Okay, now we're on to the Accuracy passive skill tree. Quick Incision says every time the skill user deals melee damage, the victim suffers from a debuff that reduces his melee resistances by 2%, and the mastery is 4%. So this is, I don't feel like you'd be able to build up an appreciable reduction by the time you kill them. You'd have to hit them a whole bunch of times. This might be good if you hit a little softer. If you don't hit quite so hard, you could at least kind of deteriorate them over time, but I'm not super impressed with that. Weak spot is the enemies has a -5% chance to dodge or parry the attack of a skill user. That seems okay. Fatality. Every time the skill user deals melee or ranged damage, he gains a buff that increases chances to deal a crit by 2% and it's stackable. So this is the equivalent, the melee equivalent of, what was it called? Sharpshooter that we just saw. This seems really good if you can, I'm sorry, this one, Fatality. If you can get a lot of hits in a round, if you're swinging in 3 times a round, you're looking at 12% critical chance boost every round. So 12% extra crit first round, 24% second round, 36% third round, etc. So I like that pretty well, especially for a melee unit that can swing in many times per turn. Underdog. When the skill user is engaged with 2 or more enemies, he gains 5% chance to deal critical hits in melee, and it is not stackable. That seems okay if you plan to get surrounded, which I don't ever. Break defenses. Every time the skill user deals ranged damage, the victim suffers from a debuff that reduces his ranged resistances by 2%. That seems kind of interesting, but it's a pretty small amount. I guess if you had a lot of people shooting one guy with high defense, it might help. Deep wounds. The damage dealt when dealing a melee or ranged critical is increased by 10%. So it's basically a crit damage boost. And did we do these? Yes, we did. Okay, so let's move on down to the bottom left here. This is the last of the, what do you call these? Characteristics, whatever it is. So we've already covered all the physical, mental, and martial skills, or stats, I should say. So we're going to go through the others here, and I'll just go through the description. And of course, this is a little bit late in the video for me to say so, but if anything piques your interest, you want to take a closer look, this is in 1080p, so you should be able to just pause it and get a closer look at any of these skills. So, movement first represents how many meters a warrior can move with a single strategy point. So, pardon me, the yeah, I mean I think that's pretty self-explanatory. You get more movement per strategy point if you have higher movement. Morale represents the addition of the warrior to the warband's morale, removed from the morale when out of action. So I think the more morale you have spread out, the more watered down losing a unit will be. And you may have one unit that has very high morale, so as long as he's still in, your warband's swinging strong, but if he gets taken out, you're going to be hurting. Initiative is represents how fast the warrior acts during combat. Highest number goes first in the initiative ladder. That's pretty self-explanatory, I think. Dodge chance, chances to dodge an attack, and parry chance likewise is chance to parry an attack. This is nice. I didn't notice this before, but it gives you the percent chance here, so you can see this Skaven, this Eshin Sorcerer, is much better at dodging than parrying. Poison resistance. This is your resistances down on the bottom here. 18% chance to resist poison's effects. And this is 6% melee reduction. 0% chance of resisting spell effects. And 10% ranged resistance. So I think these are all pretty self-explanatory here. Just kind of something where you can see what it's calculating. So, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any ideas on combos, I mean, I mentioned the one with parrying or with dodging, but if you see something that I didn't mention, definitely tell me in the comments. I am so curious to start thinking about different combos that you can do. There's so many skills they put in here, so I'm excited to start seeing those combos. So, anyway, hope to hear from you. Hope you enjoyed these. I definitely hope they were informative for you. Like I said, I haven't really found anything going through all the skills online yet, so hopefully this can be a resource to you, and we will catch you soon. Thanks for watching, friends.